Thembisa Fakude, who's a senior research fellow at the Africa-Asia Dialogues. Welcome to the programme. It's incredible, that last line that I just read. Sudan is facing the largest child displacement crisis in the world. And Thembisa, I think back to what Jan Egeland said recently, the Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, saying that the crisis in Sudan has been largely forgotten. It's also the most underfunded response in the world. And here we see children bearing the brunt. Who's to blame, would you say?
Well, there are a lot of people to blame. Number one, you have to blame Hemeti, who's the leader of the opposition, and Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who is also the leader of the military in Sudan. So those are the two people to be blamed on this. But at the same time, it's just too busy in terms of media coverage around the world. Sudan is taking a back stage in terms of coverage because of what's happening in Gaza, for example, in Ukraine and other parts of the world. So unfortunately, there are multiple stakeholders to be blamed in this regard, but we can't, of course, not put the blame squarely at the warring parties at the moment. That is Hemeti and Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, both of whom are fighting to be sitting on top of the food chain in that country.
It's an important point you raised there about media coverage, and I'm sure also humanitarian agencies, like how do they divide their resources? I want to ask you about the relief plans or even peace initiatives that have been suggested. What's happened there?
Well, they've stalled, and they've stalled simply because the people that were supposed to be brokering peace in Sudan are also now busy with other things, amongst others the war in Gaza. So that is all stalled. But I think the issues were once again highlighted at the recent African Union meeting or summit in Addis Ababa. And hopefully that will start. South Africa is very involved in trying to find solutions in South Sudan. We know that Hemeti, Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, the leader of the opposition or the army that's currently fighting the Sudanese army, wasn't South African. Nothing much was said about it, but we know that discussions are afoot, led by the South Africans, to try and find a peaceful solution in that country.
And Thembisa, just going back to that point about the media agenda, media coverage being so busy and Gaza dominating, what could the media do better?
Well, it's actually very difficult for the media to do better in such situations. Number one is the access for the media is almost impossible. Most journalists in countries or citizens of various countries require a visa to enter Sudan. You can't, then there's no easy way into Sudan, at least where the war is concentrated at the moment. So even if you decide either to drive from Chad or from Kenya or from Cairo, it's quite very far. So the platforms that facilitate entry into Sudan are very difficult to navigate, and as a result, it discourages the media. But importantly, also the freedom of media inside Sudan is restricted. That means, therefore, that you don't have foreign correspondents based in Sudan who can easily and quickly cover, compared to what's happening in Gaza, for example. And what you see happening in Gaza is that because there's so many foreign correspondents, hence the large number of journalists that have been killed, because there's so many foreign correspondents in Gaza, the story of Gaza is...
Okay, but no international media have really had access to Gaza, just to make that point clear. But yes, that there are journalists
there is a homegrown, if you look at the number of journalists, for example, that are covering Gaza, these are Gazans themselves, Palestinians who live in Gaza.
Correct.
And it's therefore easy for them to cover using whatever platform. So you have, for example, Al Jazeera, I can tell you now that there are at least 4 or 5, besides the supporting crew, that's currently covering Gaza. So you have a number of journalists that are based in Gaza who are Gazan. Now, with the case in Sudan, you don't have that homegrown journalism, particularly when it comes to foreign media, that can continue telling their stories as supposed to be told. Most of the journalists that are supposed to be told outside, for example, institutions such as Al Jazeera, have to be often parachuted from outside whenever a breaking story occurs.
Absolutely. And Thembisa, that point of when the cameras aren't there, right, it is so important, isn't it? Thembisa Fakude, fantastic to speak to you on this subject regarding Sudan. Thank you for your time and your thoughts. Really appreciate it.